The divorce kit sat on my dining room table like a loaded gun. A bright red bow adorned the box, mocking me with its festive appearance. My 35th birthday gift from my husband, a DIY guide to ending our marriage. I'm Scarlett, and this is how I learned that revenge is best served with a signature at the bottom of very official documents. Happy birthday, darling! Kylan's voice dripped with artificial sweetness as he leaned against our marble kitchen counter, watching me with those cold gray eyes. I thought it was time we stopped pretending. My fingers traced the edge of the box, maintaining the composed smile I'd perfected over 8 years of marriage. How thoughtful of you, honey. Did you keep the receipt? He laughed, that practiced sound he used in board meetings. Always with the jokes. This is why I married you, you know. Your sense of humor. And here I thought it was my family's company you married me for. The words slipped out before I could stop them. His expression hardened. Careful, Scarlett. We both know how much influence I have over Phillips Industries now. Your grandfather may have built it, but I'm the one keeping it alive. I lifted the divorce kit from the box, flipping through its pages with deliberate slowness. By cooking the books? Excuse me? His knuckles whitened against the counter. Nothing, dear. Just thinking out loud. I set the kit down and reached for my phone. I should call Peyton, thank her for the lovely bracelet she sent. Your sister. He practically spat the word. Still bitter about being passed over for the VP position? Actually, she's doing great at her new firm. I dialed Peyton's number, maintaining eye contact with Kylan. Unlike some people, she doesn't need to marry into success. He crossed the kitchen in 3 strides, snatching the phone from my hand. That's enough. I've been patient with your little jabs, but remember who holds the cards here. Give me my phone, Keelan. Or what? He dangled it just out of reach. You'll run to Greta? Tell her your suspicions about the quarterly reports? Nobody would believe you over me. I stood, smoothing my skirt. You're right. Who would believe the granddaughter of the company's founder over the man who appeared out of nowhere 5 years ago? His hand connected with the counter, the sharp crack making me flinch. I built that company into what it is today. You built yourself a nice little embezzlement scheme, you mean? The silence that followed was deafening. Kylan's face went through a fascinating array of colors before settling on an alarming shade of red. You have no proof. Yet. I retrieved my phone from his loosened grip. Consider this divorce kit your first warning, honey. You shouldn't have gotten greedy. He grabbed my arm as I turned to leave. Don't threaten me, Scarlett. You have no idea what I'm capable of. Neither do you. I twisted free, heading for the door. Thanks for the birthday gift. I'll make good use of it. Where are you going? To see Greta. She's taking me to lunch. I paused at the doorway. Oh, and Kylan? I'd start looking for a good lawyer if I were you. His voice followed me down the hallway. You'll regret this, Scarlett. I promise you that. In my car, my hands finally started shaking. I pulled out my phone and dialed Greta's number. Happy birthday, sweetie, she answered on the first ring. I take it he gave you the gift? He did. I started the engine. And you were right about everything. He practically admitted to the embezzlement. I've been watching the numbers for months. Greta's voice hardened. Are you ready to do this? I thought about the divorce kit, about Kylan's threats, about my grandfather's legacy crumbling under the weight of one man's greed. More than ready. Is Chris still willing to help? He's got a whole file of evidence ready. Your sister's on board too. Good. I pulled onto the main road, leaving behind the house that had become my prison. Because I'm not just going to divorce him, Greta. I'm going to destroy him. That's my girl. I could hear her smile through the phone. Meet me at Franklin's office instead of the restaurant. He's expecting us. As I drove toward downtown, my birthday gift sat in the passenger seat like a promise. Kylan thought he was being cruel, but he'd actually given me exactly what I needed. Permission to stop pretending. The time for playing the dutiful wife was over. Now it was time to play for keeps. Franklin's office felt like a war room as Greta spread financial documents across his mahogany desk. The afternoon sun cast long shadows through the Venetian blinds, creating prison bar patterns across the damning evidence of my husband's betrayal. Look at this. Greta pointed to a series of transactions. He's been siphoning money through shell companies for at least 3 years. Small amounts at first, but getting bolder each quarter. I leaned closer, my stomach churning. How much? Nearly 4 million. Greta's voice was tight with anger. He's been hiding it in offshore accounts, thinking nobody would notice. Franklin adjusted his glasses, frowning at the papers. But you did notice, Greta. Why didn't you come forward sooner? Because I needed absolute proof. She pulled out another folder. And because Scarlett needed to see his true colors for herself. My phone buzzed. Kylan's third attempt to call since I'd left the house. I declined it with savage satisfaction. He's getting nervous, I said, showing them the screen. Good. Scarlett, Franklin leaned forward, his expression serious. Are you absolutely sure you want to pursue this? Once we start, there's no going back. He threatened my family's legacy, Franklin. He's stealing from the company my grandfather built from nothing. I met his gaze steadily. I want everything he took, and I want him behind bars. A knock at the door made us all jump. Peyton slipped in, her designer suit slightly rumpled from rushing over. Sorry I'm late. She hugged me tight. Happy birthday, sis, though I guess that's debatable given the circumstances. Actually, it's turning out to be quite productive. I gestured to the documents. Want to see what your beloved brother-in-law's been up to? As Peyton reviewed the evidence, her face darkened. That bastard. I knew something was off when he pushed me out of the VP position. He needed someone more cooperative, Greta explained. Someone who wouldn't question his creative accounting. My phone buzzed again, this time with a text from Chris. Kay just stormed into the office, demanding to see today's transfer records. What should I do? I showed the message to Greta, who smiled grimly. Tell Chris to stall him. Make excuses about system maintenance. We need to move fast, Franklin said, gathering the documents. I can file for divorce tomorrow morning, but we need to coordinate with the SEC about the fraud charges. No, I said, surprising myself with my firmness. Not yet. I want him to think he's won first. Peyton raised an eyebrow. What are you thinking? I'm thinking it's time I played the role he expects. The defeated wife. I started pacing, my mind racing. If he believes I'm giving up, he'll get sloppy, make mistakes. He's already making mistakes, Greta pointed out. That's how we caught him. True, but I want everything. Every transaction, every contact, every corrupt deal he's made using my family's name. I turned to Chris's text. And I want him to feel as helpless as he made me feel. Franklin nodded slowly. It's risky, but it could work. How long do you need? 2 weeks? I thought about the company's upcoming anniversary party. That's when we'll have everyone important in one room. Perfect timing, Peyton grinned. Nothing like a public humiliation to really drive the point home. My phone buzzed yet again. This time, I answered. Where the hell are you? Kylan's voice was tight with barely controlled rage. Having lunch with Greta, like I said. I kept my voice small, frightened. I'm sorry about earlier, honey. Can we talk when I get home? The silence on his end was telling. He'd expected a fight, not submission. Of course, darling. His tone softened immediately. I may have overreacted this morning. Perhaps we can discuss the divorce kit, reconsider things. I'd like that. I forced a tremor into my voice. I don't want to lose you, Kylan. After hanging up, I met the impressed stares of my allies. Damn, sis, Peyton whistled. You missed your calling as an actress. I learned from the best. I gathered my purse. Greta, can you get me complete access to the company's financial records? Already done. I'll send you the login details securely. Franklin, start preparing the divorce papers, but don't file them yet. And Peyton. Yeah? Think you could help me plan one hell of an anniversary party? My sister's smile was positively wicked. It would be my pleasure. As I drove home, I rehearsed my lines for the performance ahead. Poor, scared Scarlett, begging her husband's forgiveness. Grateful, submissive Scarlett, accepting his control over her family's company. Kylan thought he'd won when he gave me that divorce kit. He didn't realize he'd actually given me permission to stop being his wife and start being his worst nightmare. The game was on, and I intended to play it perfectly. You'll never believe what I found. Chris's voice was barely a whisper as he led me through the empty office corridors after hours. The fluorescent lights hummed overhead, casting strange shadows as we made our way to his cramped IT office. A week had passed since my birthday, and Kylan had relaxed his guard, convinced by my performance of a repentant wife. Each morning, I kissed him goodbye, playing the role of someone desperate to save her marriage. Each night, I worked with my allies to dismantle his empire. Chris closed the door behind us and pulled out a USB drive. Remember those offshore accounts Greta found? They're just the tip of the iceberg. He plugged the drive into his computer, pulling up a series of emails. Kylan's been communicating with someone named Marcus about a major deal. They're planning to sell off the company's patents. My blood ran cold. Those patents are worth hundreds of millions, Chris finished. And guess where the money would go? Before I could answer, a knock at the door made us both freeze. Chris quickly minimized the windows as Peyton slipped inside. "Sorry I'm late," she said, locking the door behind her. "Had to shake off Thompson from accounting. He's like Kylan's personal watchdog lately." "Speaking of watchdogs," Chris said, "look what our dear brother-in-law's been up to." As Peyton reviewed the emails, her face went from concerned to furious. "This Marcus guy, I've seen him before, at that charity gala last month." "What?" I turned to her sharply. "Are you sure?" She pulled out her phone, scrolling through photos until she found one from the gala. In the background, partially obscured but clearly visible, was Kylan speaking with a distinguished-looking man in his 50s. "That's him," Chris confirmed, comparing the photo to other documents. "Marcus Blackwood, CEO of Rivera Technologies." "Our biggest competitor," I breathed. "Kylan's selling us out to Rivera? Not if we can help it," Peyton said, forwarding the photo to my phone. "The deal's supposed to happen right after the anniversary party." My phone buzzed. A text from Kylan. "Working late tonight, darling. Don't wait up." "Working late, my ass," I muttered, showing them the message. "He's probably meeting with Marcus right now." Chris's fingers flew over his keyboard. "Want me to check his calendar? I still have access to his assistant's email." "Do it." Sure enough, Kylan had a dinner meeting scheduled at LeBlanc, an upscale restaurant downtown. "I could go there," Peyton offered. "Get some photos of their meeting." I shook my head. "Too risky. He knows your face." I turned to Chris. "But he doesn't know yours, not really. You're just the IT guy to him." Chris grinned. "I do have a pretty forgettable face. Want me to play spy?" "Take my car," Peyton said, tossing him her keys. "The windows are tinted, and it's not one he'd recognize." As Chris left on his mission, Peyton and I continued going through the files. The scope of Kylan's betrayal was staggering. Not just embezzlement, but corporate espionage, insider trading, and now this patent scheme. "Greta's going to have a field day with this," Peyton said, copying files to another drive. "The SEC will—" The office door rattled suddenly, making us both jump. A voice called out, "Security check!" "Just a minute," I called back, trying to sound casual, as Peyton frantically closed windows and removed the drive. I opened the door to find Thompson standing there, his security badge prominently displayed. "Mrs. Phillips, what are you doing here so late?" "Just showing my sister some old family photos from the company archives," I said smoothly. "We're planning a slideshow for the anniversary party." He peered past me suspiciously. "In the IT office?" "The scanner's better in here," Peyton chimed in, holding up some old photographs we kept for just such occasions. "See? Dad's first day as CEO." Thompson relaxed slightly, but still looked uncertain. "Mr. Phillips didn't mention you'd be here tonight." "Oh!" I raised an eyebrow. "That's strange, since he's the one who suggested it. You can call him if you'd like. He's at LeBlanc with a client right now." The name drop worked. Thompson backed off, muttering apologies. After he left, Peyton and I waited 5 full minutes before speaking. "That was too close," she whispered. "No," I said, a plan forming. "That was perfect. Now we know Thompson reports directly to Kylan." My phone buzzed with a message from Chris. "Got photos. You're not going to believe who else is at this dinner." The attached picture showed Kylan, Marcus, and Thompson himself, all raising glasses in a toast. "Well, well," Peyton said, looking over my shoulder. "Looks like someone's working 2 jobs." I forwarded the photo to Greta and Franklin. "And now we know exactly who to watch." The pieces were falling into place faster than I'd hoped. Kylan thought he was orchestrating a masterpiece of corporate theft. He didn't realize he was actually staging his own downfall, and I was going to make sure he had front-row seats to the show. "The moral implications alone are staggering," Franklin said, pacing his office the next morning. "It's not just fraud anymore. This is corporate treason." I sat across from his desk, watching him process everything we discovered. "What's the potential prison time looking at?" "With everything we have?" He stopped pacing. 15 to 20 years minimum. The SEC will have a field day with this." Greta burst through the door, waving a stack of papers. "It gets better. I found where the patent money was supposed to go." She spread the documents across Franklin's desk. 3 shell companies, all registered in the Cayman Islands, all connected to accounts in Marcus's name. But guess who has signing authority? "Thompson," I guessed. "And Kylan's sister." Greta's eyes gleamed. "The same sister who conveniently works for the SEC. The revelation hit me like a punch to the gut. "That's why he's been so confident. He has someone on the inside." "Had someone," Franklin corrected, reaching for his phone. "I have a contact at the SEC who owes me a favor. This kind of conflict of interest won't go unnoticed." My phone buzzed. Kylan calling. I answered, switching to speaker mode. "Darling, where are you?" His voice oozed concern. "I stopped by the house to surprise you for lunch. Just running errands," I said, keeping my voice light. "Missing me already?" "Always." He paused. "I've been thinking about that divorce kit. I was cruel, and I'm sorry. Let me make it up to you. Dinner tonight?" I caught Greta's warning look and forced a tremor into my voice. "I'd like that. I've missed you too." After hanging up, I slumped in my chair. "He's getting suspicious." "No," Greta said thoughtfully. "He's getting nervous. The anniversary party's in 3 days, and the patent deal is supposed to happen right after. He wants to make sure you're still under control." "Speaking of control," Franklin interrupted, hanging up his phone. "My SEC contact wants to meet today." "Set it up," I said. "But first, I need to have dinner with my husband." That evening, I sat across from Kylan at our usual table in his favorite restaurant, watching him perform his version of contrition. "I've been stressed about work," he said, reaching for my hand. "The company's facing some challenges, and I took it out on you. It wasn't fair." "What kind of challenges?" I asked innocently, squeezing his hand. "Maybe I could help?" His smile tightened almost imperceptibly. "Nothing for you to worry about, darling. Just some patent negotiations. With Rivera Technologies?" The wine glass froze halfway to his lips. "What?" "I saw it in the paper," I lied smoothly. "They're expanding their portfolio, aren't they?" Relief flooded his features. "Yes, exactly. Just routine business dealings." My phone buzzed with a text from Chris. "Thompson accessing financial records now, running full system backup." I excused myself to the restroom, calling Chris immediately. "He's copying everything," Chris whispered. "All the legitimate records, trying to cover their tracks." "Let him," I said. "But make sure you—" "Already done. Every file he touches gets flagged and tracked. We'll know exactly what they're planning to alter." Back at the table, Kylan was on his own phone, speaking in hushed tones. He hung up quickly when I returned. "Everything okay?" I asked. "Perfect." His smile didn't reach his eyes. "Just finalizing some details for the anniversary party. I want it to be special." "Me too," I said, and for the first time all evening, I meant it. Later that night, as Kylan slept beside me, I slipped out of bed and into my home office. Franklin had texted the details of tomorrow's SEC meeting, along with a warning. Kylan's sister has been suspended pending investigation. Move carefully. I texted back. Time to accelerate the plan? His response was immediate. Yes. She might try to warn him. Be ready. As if on cue, I heard Kylan's phone buzz in the other room. He answered it groggily, but his voice quickly sharpened. What do you mean, suspended? A pause. Who's investigating? Another pause. No, stay quiet. I'll handle it. I slipped back into bed just before he returned, pretending to be asleep as he paced the room, making more calls. My phone lit up silently with messages. Greta. SEC meeting moved up to 8 a.m. Bring everything. Peyton. Thompson spotted shredding documents. Chris intercepted. Chris. Full backup complete. You won't believe what they were planning to delete. I lay there in the dark, listening to my husband's increasingly panicked conversations, feeling not triumph, but a strange sort of sadness. He'd really thought he could take everything my family had built and simply walk away. The anniversary party was 3 days away, but Kylan's world was already beginning to crumble, and he didn't even know it yet. The grand ballroom sparkled with champagne glasses and forced smiles. 50 years of Phillips Industries, celebrated under crystal chandeliers while sharks circled in the depths below. I stood beside Kylan, his hand possessively at my waist, both of us playing our parts to perfection. Wonderful party, Marcus commented, approaching us with his trademark smooth confidence. The Phillips family certainly knows how to celebrate. We do indeed, I replied, noting how Kylan's fingers tightened against my hip, though I'm surprised to see Rivera Technologies represented here tonight. Marcus's smile flickered. Just fostering good relationships between companies. Isn't that right, Kylan? Before Kylan could respond, Peyton appeared at my side. Sorry to interrupt, but the photographer wants the family photos now. If you'll excuse us, I said, letting my sister lead me away. The moment we were out of earshot, she whispered, Thompson's making his move. He's heading to Kylan's office. Chris? Already on it. The cameras are running. I glanced back to see Kylan deep in conversation with Marcus, their faces tense despite their smiles. Across the room, Greta caught my eye and nodded. Everything was in position. Mrs. Phillips? A server approached with a note. This just arrived for you. The message was from Franklin. SEC team in place. Give the signal when ready. I checked my watch. 9:45 p.m. In 15 minutes, I would take the stage to give my anniversary speech. By 10:15, everything would change. Scarlett! Kylan's voice made me jump. He'd appeared beside me silently, his face a mask of concern. We need to talk, privately. He led me to a quiet corner of the ballroom. Something's wrong. The system's locked me out of certain files, and Thompson says, Your IT guy's acting suspicious? I finished for him. Accessing files he shouldn't? Making copies? His face went completely still. What did you do? Me? I smiled, channeling his own brand of artificial sweetness. I'm just the trophy wife, remember? The one you gave a divorce kit to for her birthday. Scarlett, his voice dropped to a dangerous whisper, if you've done anything to interfere with... Ladies and gentlemen, the MC's voice boomed through the speakers. Please take your seats. Mrs. Phillips will now say a few words about this momentous occasion. Kylan grabbed my arm. Don't you dare! Let go of my wife. Chris's voice was quiet but firm. He'd materialized beside us, along with 2 other men I recognized as SEC agents in plain clothes. Kylan released me, his face contorting with rage and realization. You stupid bitch. You have no idea what you've done. Actually, I straightened my dress. I know exactly what I've done. Enjoy the speech, honey. The spotlight felt warm as I took the stage, surveying the room filled with employees, board members, and family friends. I saw Marcus trying to slip away, only to be quietly intercepted by more agents. Thompson was being escorted from Kalan's office by security, and my husband stood frozen, watching his carefully constructed world implode. 50 years ago, I began, my grandfather founded this company on three principles: integrity, innovation, and family. Today, we celebrate not just our success, but our commitment to those values. I clicked the remote, and the presentation screen behind me lit up with financial records, emails, and photographs. The room erupted in gasps and whispers. Unfortunately, some people saw our family business as nothing more than an opportunity for personal gain. Tonight, we're not just celebrating our past, we're protecting our future. Kylan started moving toward the exit, only to find his path blocked by Franklin and two uniformed officers. The evidence of corporate theft, fraud, and conspiracy has been provided to the SEC and FBI. To those involved, I looked directly at Marcus, then Thompson, and finally Kylan. I suggest cooperating fully. The prosecutors might show leniency. The chaos that erupted was almost beautiful. Marcus attempted to run, making it 3 steps before being tackled by security. Thompson broke down, immediately offering to testify against everyone. And Kylan just stood there, staring at me with a mixture of hatred and something that might have been respect. As the officers led him past me, he paused. "I underestimated you." "No," I corrected him. "You underestimated what people will do to protect their family." I watched them lead him away, then turned back to the stunned crowd. "Please enjoy the rest of the evening. The cake will be served shortly." Peyton appeared at my side, grinning. "Only you would remember to serve cake after orchestrating a sting operation." "Grandfather always said," I smiled, accepting a glass of champagne from Greta, "that no celebration is complete without cake." The night wasn't over. There would be statements to make, questions to answer, and a company to rebuild. But for now, I stood with my real family, watching justice unfold while waiters served perfectly cut slices of anniversary cake. Sometimes revenge really is sweet. The morning after the party, I sat in Franklin's office watching the news coverage cycle through clips of Kylan and Marcus being led away in handcuffs. The headlines screamed "Corporate Conspiracy Exposed" and "Phillips Industries Scandal Rocks Business World." "The press is having a field day," Franklin said, muting the TV. "But we have a bigger problem." "Bigger than my husband trying to steal hundreds of millions in patents?" I reached for my coffee, my 3rd cup since dawn. "Your husband's sister at the SEC?" Franklin pulled out a fresh file. "She didn't just get suspended, she disappeared." Greta burst through the door, her usually immaculate appearance slightly disheveled. "Turn on your phone, Scarlett. Now." I did, and immediately wished I hadn't. Dozens of missed calls and one text message from an unknown number. "You think you won? The game's not over, sweetheart. Check your email." My hands shook as I opened my inbox. There it was, a video file from an anonymous sender. "Don't," Franklin started, but I'd already clicked play. Kylan's sister appeared on screen, her resemblance to him striking in her cold smile. "Hello, Scarlett. By now you've probably realized that my dear brother's arrest isn't the end of this story. You see, while everyone was focused on the patent deal, nobody noticed what we'd already taken. Check your grandfather's private server, the one with all the original designs." "Oh wait, you can't, because it doesn't exist anymore." The video ended. I looked at Greta in horror. "The Innovation Vault?" She was already on her phone. "Chris, the backup server in the old building. Check it now." We waited in tense silence until Chris's voice came through the speaker. "It's gone. Everything. All the original designs, the prototype plans, everything your grandfather developed before the company went public. They must have copied it all and wiped it clean." "Those designs," my voice cracked, "they're worth more than the patents. They're the foundation of everything we've built." "And now Rivera Technologies has them," Franklin finished grimly. "Along with proof of their own illegal activities, I'm betting. Insurance." My phone buzzed again. Another anonymous text. "For every action, there's a reaction. Hope you enjoyed your little victory party." "Track that number," I told Chris. Already on it. But Scarlett, there's something else. Someone accessed your personal files too. Everything about your family, your accounts, even your medical records. The room spun slightly. I gripped the edge of Franklin's desk. When? During the party, while everyone was distracted by the arrests. Peyton rushed in, waving her phone. Did you see? It's all over social media. Someone's leaking personal details about our family. Dad's old scandals, Mom's addiction struggles. They're trying to destroy our reputation, I realized. Make us look unstable, untrustworthy. It's working, Greta said quietly, showing me her tablet. The company's stock was already dropping. My phone buzzed one more time. Revenge is a game for two players. Your move. Call everyone, I said, standing up. Board members, major shareholders, everyone. Emergency meeting in 1 hour. What are you going to tell them? Franklin asked. The truth, that we're under attack, and that we're going to fight back. An hour later, I stood before the boardroom, facing the worried faces of people who'd trusted my family for generations. Yes, we've been hit, I acknowledged. Yes, they took valuable intellectual property, and yes, they're trying to destroy our reputation. But they made one crucial mistake. Which is? One of the board members asked. They thought stealing our past would destroy our future. They forgot that Philips Industries isn't built on patents or designs. It's built on people, on innovation, on the ability to create something new. I nodded to Chris, who pulled up a presentation. These are the projects we've been developing in secret. New technologies, new solutions, completely separate from anything they stole. And these, I gestured to the room, are the people who made them possible. The tension in the room shifted as understanding dawned. We weren't defeated. We were evolving. As for our reputation, I continued, yes, my family has struggles. We're human. But we've always been honest about our mistakes and committed to making things right. Can Rivera Technologies say the same? By the time the meeting ended, the stock had stabilized. Our shareholders were standing firm. And I had a new text message, this time from a traced number in the Cayman Islands. Impressive, but this isn't over. No, I murmured, showing the message to Greta. It's just beginning. Because while Kylan's sister thought she was teaching me about consequences, she'd actually taught me something far more valuable. Sometimes the best revenge isn't destroying your enemies, it's becoming stronger than they ever imagined you could be. Got her! Chris's voice crackled through my phone at 3 a.m., jolting me awake. Sarah, Kylan's sister. She's in Bermuda, not the Caymans. And she just made a mistake. I was already pulling on clothes. What kind of mistake? She tried to access our new project files using Kylan's old passwords. We traced her exact location. 20 minutes later, I walked into the office to find Greta, Peyton, and Franklin already gathered around Chris's desk, staring at his monitors. Show me, I demanded. Chris pulled up a video feed. This is live from the hotel's security cameras. She's in room 742, and look who just arrived to meet her. The grainy footage showed Marcus's wife entering the hotel, looking nervous. Linda Rivera, Peyton said. Marcus's better half and Rivera Technologies' true majority shareholder. More importantly, Franklin added, she's the only one who can authorize the use of our stolen designs. I smiled for the first time in days. Call the Bermuda authorities, now. Already done, Greta said. But Scarlett, there's more. Show her, Chris. He pulled up another window, a series of emails between Sarah and Linda dating back months before I'd even received the divorce kit. This was their plan all along, Chris explained. Kylan was just the front man. Sarah and Linda were the real architects. They needed someone expendable. And my husband volunteered. I finished bitterly. Perfect fall guy with a convenient motive. The good news, Peyton interjected, is that Linda's meeting Sarah right now to transfer everything. The designs, the documentation, everything they stole. All being tracked in real time. My phone buzzed. A text from Sarah. Ready to negotiate? She doesn't know we've found her, I realized. She thinks she's still in control. Play along, Franklin advised. Keep her talking while the authorities move in. I typed back, Name your price. The response came quickly. Smart girl. $50 million in untraceable cryptocurrency. You have 1 hour. And if I refuse? Then tomorrow morning, Rivera Technologies announces their revolutionary new product line, featuring some very familiar designs. I showed the others the exchange. How long until the authorities can move in? 20 minutes, Franklin said. We just need to keep them in that room. I called Sarah's number. To my surprise, she answered. Bold move, she said by way of greeting. Coming to negotiate personally? Just wondering something. I kept my voice casual. Did Kylan know he was your patsy from the beginning, or did you convince him along the way? A pause. He knew what he was getting into. Did he? Because right now, he's facing 20 years while you're sitting in a luxury hotel, about to make millions from my family's work. Life's not fair, Scarlett. Didn't your grandfather teach you that when he stole his first patent? I gripped the phone tighter. What are you talking about? Oh, you didn't know. Check the files we took. Your precious grandfather built his empire on stolen innovations. Like grandfather, like granddaughter, we all steal what we want. You're lying. Am I? Ask Linda when she gets here. Her father was one of the original victims. This isn't just business, Scarlett. This is justice. I muted the phone, turning to Greta. Is it true? About my grandfather? She shook her head. Your grandfather partnered with Linda's father. They developed those early patents together, but her father sold his share when he got into gambling debt. He later claimed theft to save face. I unmuted the phone. Nice try, Sarah, but I know the truth about Linda's father, just like I know exactly where you are right now. The line went silent for a moment. Then, you're bluffing. Room 742, Paradise Hotel, Bermuda. Blue blouse, white slacks. That coffee you just set down? It's from the cafe across the street. Want me to tell you what Linda's wearing too? I heard movement, then cursing. How? You're good at corporate espionage, Sarah. But next time, don't use hotel Wi-Fi for secure transfers. Oh, and say hello to the Bermuda police for me. They should be knocking on your door right about. A commotion erupted on the other end of the line. Shouts, crashes, Sarah screaming something about diplomatic immunity. Got them, Chris confirmed, watching the security feed. Both Sarah and Linda in custody. And look what Linda dropped trying to run. He zoomed in on a laptop lying open on the hotel room floor, its screen displaying file transfers in progress. Everything they stole, Peyton breathed. All the evidence we need. I slumped in my chair, exhausted but triumphant. Send everything to the FBI, and get me the number for Rivera Technologies' board of directors. Why? Greta asked. Because by this time tomorrow, they'll need new leadership. I smiled grimly. And I have some suggestions about corporate transparency they might want to consider. Sarah's final text came through as the sun rose. You'll regret this. I typed back. No, Sarah. The only thing I regret is not seeing your face when you realized you'd been outplayed. Say hi to Kylan in prison. Then I blocked her number and turned to face the new day. The courtroom fell silent as the judge prepared to deliver the sentences. Kylan sat with his shoulders slumped, his designer suit replaced by prison orange. Beside him, Sarah maintained her icy composure, while Marcus and Linda held hands, their faces ashen. The evidence presented in this case reveals a conspiracy of staggering proportions, the judge began. Corporate theft, fraud, market manipulation, and attempted extortion. I felt Peyton squeeze my hand as we waited. Given the severity and premeditated nature of these crimes, this court sentences the defendants as follows. The judge adjusted his glasses. Kylan Phillips, 18 years. Sarah Matthews, 15 years. Marcus and Linda Rivera, 12 years each. Kylan turned to look at me one last time as they led him away. The smug confidence that had once dominated his features was gone, replaced by something that looked almost like respect. Outside the courthouse, reporters swarmed us. Mrs. Phillips, how does it feel to take down your own husband? What's next for Phillips Industries? I stepped up to the microphones, Greta and Peyton flanking me. Today isn't about revenge or personal victories. It's about justice and corporate responsibility. Philips Industries will continue our grandfather's legacy of innovation and integrity, starting with a new initiative. I nodded to Franklin, who distributed press packets. We're launching the Philips Innovation Trust, I announced, a program that supports small inventors and entrepreneurs, ensuring their ideas are protected and properly credited, because success shouldn't come at the cost of someone else's dreams. Back at the office, Chris had champagne waiting. To justice, he toasted. To family, Peyton added. Speaking of family, Greta interrupted, checking her phone. The board meeting starts in 10 minutes. Ready to make history? I smoothed my dress. As ready as I'll ever be. The boardroom was packed, every seat filled, every eye on me as I took my place at the head of the table. Ladies and gentlemen, I began, we've weathered a storm that could have destroyed this company. Instead, we're stronger. Our stock has rebounded. Our new projects are exceeding expectations. But most importantly, we've remembered who we are. I clicked through slides showing our latest innovations, all developed after the theft, all revolutionary in their own right. Philips Industries was never about patents or profits. It was about people, about trust, about building something that matters. I paused, meeting each person's gaze. Today, we make that official. The vote was unanimous. Philips Industries would become a publicly traded company with an ironclad ethical oversight committee. No single person, not even me, could make major decisions without accountability. As the board members filed out, Greta handed me an envelope. This came while you were in court. Inside was my finalized divorce decree. Just paper, but it felt like freedom. You know, Peyton said, perching on the boardroom table, you never did use that divorce kit he gave you. I laughed. No, I didn't. Turns out I needed something stronger than a DIY solution. Like a team of corporate lawyers and federal agents? Chris suggested. Like family, I corrected. Real family. My phone buzzed. A message from an inmate at the federal prison. You won. Happy now? I showed it to the others. Should I respond? Tell him to enjoy the prison library's copy of Corporate Ethics for Dummies, Peyton suggested. Instead, I typed, I didn't win, Kylan. I just stopped losing. Then I deleted his number and turned to my team, my real family. So, who's hungry? I hear LeBlanc has a table available. Apparently, their regular customers are indisposed. Later that evening, sitting around a table filled with food and laughter, I realized something. The divorce kit that was meant to break me had actually set me free. Not just from Kylan, but from fear itself. Earth to Scarlet! Peyton waved her hand in front of my face. Where'd you go? Just thinking about birthday gifts, I smiled, and how sometimes the worst ones turn out to be exactly what you need. Speaking of gifts, Greta raised her glass. Here's to new beginnings. And old friends, Chris added. And family, Franklin finished. To family, we echoed, our glasses clinking in the warm restaurant light. My phone lay silent in my purse. No more threats or manipulations lighting up its screen. Outside, the city sparkled with possibility. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, new projects, new opportunities to prove that success doesn't require sacrifice of soul. But tonight? Tonight was for celebrating with the people who stood by me when everything fell apart and helped me build something stronger from the pieces. I raised my glass one more time. To the best birthday gift ever. The truth. And in that moment, surrounded by love and loyalty, I felt truly